I really can't believe that we are heading into fight week for UFC 262. I really feel like we just had 261, but hey, I guess time flies when you're having fun, or time flies when you were pleasantly surprised by a main event that we got at UFC Vegas 26 that I wasn't really expecting much from. But even though it was mostly a one-sided ass whooping, it was still an entertaining one-sided ass whooping. So I was pleasantly surprised. But still, seeing Donald Cerrone go down like that did not leave a good taste in the mouth, Blake. But what did you really expect from that? But of course, this is Fourth Long LLC. This is UFC Talk. And I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by the UFC correspondent, Blake Campbell. Blake, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good, feeling great. Can't complain. Got a UFC pay-per-view to look forward to this weekend.
Oh, yeah. We always gotta hype up the shows when we're heading into the pay-per-view weekend, even though this show's already taken some hits, losing the pretty much some of the co-main event, or the first 5-round co-main event in UFC history. Lost that one. Losing another fight recently between Hermanson and Shabazian, a really good middleweight clash that we're not going to get anymore, at least not at this date. But Blake, let's be positive, because we still have plenty to look forward to. Okay, there's still a lot of real good fights on this card. This main card, at the least, is looking pay-per-view level, especially with what may happen in this main event. But before we get into things properly with our UFC Vegas 26 recap, let's thank our sponsor for the show for all your sports prop betting needs. The MLB season's in full swing. The NBA season's kind of winding down. So is the NHL season, but we're heading into playoffs for those two leagues. So what better time now than to get going on some sports prop betting? If you deposit $20 and use promo code 4th and long and up to $50 on that deposit, they will match you dollar per dollar. So you can essentially get some free cash to bet on. Then also, if you go over to patreon.com/4th and long, and for just $1 a month, you can get started, become a prestigious member of our Patreon supporters, and get access to a plethora of goodies that come along with that. But Blake, like I said, let's get rolling into our UFC Vegas 26 recap. First off, just a couple things before we get into some of the fights specifically. Let's talk about Carlson Harris pulling off the very rare anaconda choke in round 1 against Christina Aguilera over there. Man, I don't know. I just got to give credit to that because I thought that was pretty badass. But one of the first things we need to talk about is Phil Hawes looking absolutely phenomenal against Kyle Daukaus. What do you think about this one? Does Kyle's kind of hit a wall, it seems like, already, whereas his brother's thriving. He is not. And Phil Hawes looks to really propel himself, hopefully into the top 15 sometime soon.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate for Daukaus. Kind of living in his brother's shadow a little bit, so to say.
No, literally, he is bigger.
That too, yep, physically and, record-wise as well. But, you can't take anything away from Phil Hawes. He went out there, had a good performance, and, Daukaus has some things to work on, obviously. If you just look at the total strike numbers, it's pretty much a 3-1 advantage,
Jeez.
So, and then significant strike, it's almost the same. It's about half. So, So yeah, Daukaus has some things to work on, and Hawes is definitely ready for that next step up in competition.
And maybe we could see Hawes break into that middleweight top 15 soon, maybe with the recent guys near that bottom of the list. 15 Brad Tavares, 14 Omari Akhmedov. Akhmedov dropping a couple spots recently. Brad dropping a spot. We might be able to see Phil Hawes match up against one of those guys and get a chance to break into some of the best in the world of the 185 pounders. So we'll see if he gets that opportunity here soon. And then also making his return, and this is my favorite fight, and this did win fight of the night as well. We saw the questionably greatest fisherman in the world. We'll get to that in a moment. Gregor Gillespie. He gets a huge TKO in his return to the cage in about a year and a half. Was undefeated. Got his head kicked and sent to the graveyard by Kevin Lee. That's where Kevin Lee fits into all of this for those asking that question. But he makes his return. He breaks out of the grave. He, becomes a zombie, and he goes out and just has a questionable first round. He looks almost gassed. He's stumbling around to his corner after that first round. But hey, I guess that was all it showed because he puts in some nasty ground to pound on Freya in the second, and he gets the win in this one, a huge one. And best of all, Blake, he was awarded, since Diego missed weight, he was awarded 30% of his purse, but also his half of the Fight of the Night bonus. So he walks away with extra 30% of a purse and an extra 100,000 in bonuses. And you bet that is going to buy him some great fishing gear.
Yeah, I know, right? That's like the first thing that I was thinking about. Like, what's he going to buy? What kind of fishing gear is he going to buy with all that extra money?
Maybe some deep sea stuff, because I know that stuff could be a little pricey.
But I mean, that just goes to show you what a consummate professional this guy is. Fajeda came in there, if I'm not mistaken, 4 to 4.5 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. And
he's 160.
Gillespie still accepted the fight, didn't care, got the win. Not only got the win, but got an impressive win, Fight of the Night bonus. So double that, it pretty much, and then tack on the 30% increase in pay from, Fajeda's purse. I mean, basically he hit the jackpot, really. I mean, but the hard work matched where the luck fit in, right? Mm-hmm. So he kind of broke that door down in the sense, like the door was there, right? The opportunity was there, and he broke it down and made the most of it for sure.
Man, that's really good stuff to see. I'm excited for his next fight because it looks like he still has it, man. He was quick on the ground. I mean, a guy that's was a 4-time NCAA All-American wrestler.
He beat Michael Chandler. You know that?
Beat Michael Chandler, man. Which is hard to
09, 07, 09, something like that.
That's insane. Thanks for bringing that. I had no idea. That is, he's a talented guy. The guy that averages was it like a takedown, 1.06 takedowns a minute.
And let me be clear, that was in college NCAA wrestling, not in MMA.
No, no, two different things, but nonetheless, still very, very impressive because Michael Chandler is a fantastic wrestler. We'll talk a little more of that when we get into our UFC Vegas 262 preview. And then the next fight with this one too was we saw a couple Neals coming off of losses in the welterweight division. Neal Magny, most recently,
Battle of the Neals,
man. Can we get some alliteration?
One Neal to rule them all.
I love it. That's why we have you on, Blake. That's why we pay the big bucks. Just kidding. So Neal Magny, most recent fight was with Michael Chiesa. And in that fight, Neal Magny got ragdolled and just absolutely smothered. That was in the lead up. That was on that Wednesday morning card. The weirdest time I've ever seen for UFC. But hey, I got to watch UFC at work, so that was cool. And then Jeff Neal, most recently coming off a loss to Stephen Thompson. Magny essentially just controls Jeff Neal this for the majority of the fight. He got some good shots in, although Jeff Neal did have some flashes in this fight. He did get some good clean shots on Neal, but on Magny, but of course it wasn't enough. Magny wins a decision, and with this he ties Diego Sanchez and George St. Pierre for most decision wins in UFC history with 12. And Neal Magny also reaches his 18th welterweight win, and this is just one behind George St. Pierre. So Neal Magny, a little under the radar, getting close to some GSP records, which is kind of crazy to think about because it feels like this guy's hardly talked about, or at least not talked about enough. But what did you think? Your thoughts on this fight, Blake?
Not the most entertaining, obviously. I mean, it's just a smart fight by Neal Magny. He controls, the fight where he wants to do his work from, and limits the damage that he's going to absorb from Jeff Neal. So, I mean, props to him for kind of, going out there and executing his game plan, but that's just not going to be a memorable fight, in my opinion. But I mean, it keeps him alive, right? It keeps him alive in that top 7, 8-ish or so, right, in the division.
Yeah, and he'll probably be moving now.
Now Jeff Neal's kind of gonna be on the outside looking in a little bit. So we'll just have to see. The story with Neal Magny, man, is I feel like when he gets those opportunities for those next level fighters, it's very up and down for him. I would say, like he'll win one, but then he'll lose the next really important fight. And then he's back exactly where he started, right? He's back to 7th, 8th.
And then he gets the win again to put him back up. And
Yeah.
So are we? I guess we got to keep on giving him shots until he eventually breaks through.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's just weird that Chiesa ragdolled him like he did, man, because
Yeah.
Chiesa's a lightweight. That's where he started at least. And now it's crazy how much he's come into his own in this welterweight division.
And
And
then now
so,
he's getting called out by the champ.
yeah, now he's getting called out by the champ. Magny, has Magny faced Usman? He's faced Usman, huh?
He's probably one of the people on the hit list of Kamaru Usman.
I was gonna say, because I mean, it probably only takes one more. You know what? I wouldn't mind Magny running it back. Well, not really running it back, but getting that fight with Hamzat.
I was going to talk about that because let's take a look at what we should do next for these two fighters now, Blake. If we're looking at purely rankings and what to do from there, a Maia or Vicente Luque makes sense. Or if you really want to be generous, if you're looking just by the rankings, Blake, and we're doing if we're thinking logically here, Jorge Masvidal could be a name that you could throw into the hat. But this is UFC. We don't think logically when it comes to making fights a lot of the time. That's no knock on Sean Shelby. He does a fantastic job, okay? But to your credit, Magny did talk about Hamza Chimaev. We never got that fight. I do want to see that fight. Is that the one to make at this point?
I think it would be a really solid test for Hamzat. I mean, who knows though if they want to give him such a durable and cardio machine guy like Neal Magny for his first fight back when he just battled COVID, and that kind of had a prolonged effect on him. So
yeah, it did.
So maybe they give him someone else or just a tune-up fight to start out with. But yeah, for me personally, I would love to see Neal Magny fight a Hamzat and just like kind of, because then that would be another really good win on his record. And then there's no denying him, right? Like he needs to fight a top 5, he needs to fight a top 6 type guy, and then get that next opportunity to possibly break in there again.
Maybe.
And I answered my question when I looked through Wikipedia just now. He has not fought Usman yet.
Oh.
Neal Magny, that is. So that's another person that, Usman might have to clean out.
Eventually, once he starts running through the top of the card or the top of the division a second time, after he's beaten everyone, maybe besides Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, though, because we still haven't seen that fight. And damn it, you bet I want to see that one. Then maybe for Jeff Neal, we take a step back to the lower portion of the welterweight division. If you look at the number 11 guy behind him, Li Jinglang, who just recently, the Slug, got a win. Back was it in March? It was a UFC 259. And then we also have possibly a number 12 guy, Bilal Muhammad. This wouldn't be a bad fight. I would like to see Bilal get a tougher fight. Hell, maybe we see Bilal Muhammad versus Neal Magny. I wouldn't be opposed to that because I believe Bilal is legit and we should and could push him to the moon in that division. But I guess we'll just wait and see. But now we get to the co-main event. What a lot of people said was the real main event of UFC Vegas 26. And this was a fight that made everyone absolutely sad. We had Alex Morano, of course, the guy that we interviewed last September. Go check that out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can get your podcast from. Fantastic interview. Really good guy, too. So that was his fight. And that was before his fight with Anthony Pettis, who was Anthony Pettis' last fight in the UFC promotion. But Alex Morano starts his Cowboy Cerrone in the first round, knocks him out standing up for just his second KO in his UFC career. Cowboy Cerrone, he's now 0-5-1 in his last 6 fights. And he is going to get another fight according to Dana White. Cerrone won another one. I mean, how are you feeling about this? Because I'm not sure what to feel, Blake.
It was just unfortunate, I just don't know. I think it's to the point to where Cowboy, I know he's that kind of guy that says anyone, anywhere, anytime, doesn't matter. But I think at this point in his career, it does matter. I think it should very much so be on him and his team's terms, whoever he wants to fight, and especially at which weight class he's trying to fight at, which is 155. It sounds like. I mean, Morano, I saw his post-fight interview, He said, I mean, Cowboy looked game. I mean, he felt game. Like anytime I squared up with him or I was around him all week, he seemed like the same, game kind of guy, ready to fight.
Well, I
And
don't
even
think
in
we
there,
should. I want to give credit to Alex Morano for this too, because he got a huge scalp on this one. The guy that's been.
I just don't think it was a good matchup at all. It was just so tough preparing for
Yeah.
a Diego Sanchez and then getting a young, hungry wolf like Morano. It's a
That's
completely
maybe not the
different
wolf,
story.
but more or less the great white. He's a shark, Blake. He's a shark.
Sure, you can say that.
Sure.
Can say that. Not trying to bring race in here, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, where are we going with this one? Unbelievable.
You bringing race in here, saying great whites and stuff. That sounds a little. I don't know, bro. I don't know where you're going with that.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to.
Anyway. Yeah, we all feel bad for Cowboy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't feel too bad for him. He signed up for it and he got paid for it. So
it was
Morano, clearly worth it in his opinion, no matter what.
Man. For him, at least, he's going to be breaking up. He might be able to get to near that top 15 of the welterweight division, maybe getting closer. I guess Robbie Lawler's still there at 14. I don't know if he's ever going to fight again. But hey, if Robbie Lawler's going to fight, let's give him against Alex Morano. Robbie Lawler, I mean, speaking of him, Blake. So, of course, on last week's show, we gave you our welterweight Mount Rushmore. We agreed on 3 of them, Blake being GSP, Kamaru Usman, and Matt Hughes. We disagreed on the 4th one, though. I went with Tyron Woodley, and Blake went with Robbie Lawler. 2 guys that you could easily make an argument for. Really not a bad one either, or for either choice. But that's just according to us and not according to former champion Tyron Woodley. Of course, went on our Instagram post on that one and says, "I knocked him out. Debate over." You think that's a good way to end the debate? I think it's over.
I'm not going to argue.
Too bad you wouldn't come on the show to debate further. Shoot your shots, kids. Shoot your shots on that one. But yeah, I guess maybe we can do something like that for Morano, but he deserves a little bit of push because this is a fantastic knockout over. I mean, although he's streaking with his losses, this is still a solid win. Anytime you can get anyone, especially a veteran in this game, with a knock him out standing, that's good stuff if you are a fighter. But that's going to take us into the main event of the evening with the Marina Rodriguez. She continues to climb up this women's flyweight division, and she smashes Michelle Waterson. And Michelle Waterson, I mean, I'm maybe I'm not sorry to say this, but I mean, is it safe to call her washed at this point? Because I think that's a fair assessment. Waterson, she had flashes in this one, but during the 25-minute contest, it's really Marina doing just about everything, putting these sick 3-piece combos together. Almost it will the entire fight. It didn't really look.
I mean, how much bigger is Marina than Michelle too? She seemed huge.
Well, compared to
Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if we can bring up. Can we bring up the tail of the tape on this one? Marina Rodriguez, she's good though, man. She's really started. I've noticed though, so she's really kind of come up. I mean, beating her last 3 fights, wins over legends of the division, like Carla Esparza. I guess I want to call her a legend, but solid contender of the division, Amanda Ribas. A fight that unfortunately got pulled. Blake's bankers come in and clutch again with another cursed fight with Ribas and with that fight being pulled. So that was a good job, Blake. I'll give you the credit on that one. Okay, with Angela Hill. Why do you keep doing this, Blake? I just want to answer your question. Why do you keep doing this to us?
It's not my fault, bro. Ribas was clearly doing some sus stuff. I just can't believe that Esparza beat Rodriguez. I mean, Rodriguez must have just got out wrestled in that fight or something.
If Esparza is going to win, it's going to be through that. So, yeah, I guess so.
What's crazy about the Rodriguez thing too is the hell that she had to go through just to show up to the fight. You heard about that?
Yeah, you want to explain to those that haven't heard of though?
I mean, I don't know the exact details off the top of my head. Essentially, she landed in Vegas like like early last week. Or it was either like early or mid last week, just had gotten her visa within like a 10-day period of the fight. And so it was just like a really, really big hassle for her to make it over here. And that's kind of why they were having some trouble moving that to the main event for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
crazy
because
that she overcame so much.
Because if you remember, the reports going into that is that Waterson signed the contract, but Rodriguez didn't, at least not yet, because of logistical reasons. Those were the logistical reasons. If you're a non-American fighter, a visa is a pretty important thing to have. I mean, Darren Till's gone screwed by the visa or something like that, right?
Yep.
He's been one of those guys. So that was a tough one. But Rodriguez, she is right about there to getting a championship opportunity. If you really want to think about that one, it's
because is she a 125 or a 115?
So, she's a 150. I misspoke earlier with the flyweight. It's a strawweight. But she's
they
right
just
there.
Both fought at 125 because of the craziness.
Yeah. So
dang. So yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah, she's up there. She's up there, probably in the top 7 now, top 5.
She might be able to get in top 5. We have a huge fight coming up soon though between Yao Zhaolan and Carla Esparza. So that's really going to determine a possible title fighter or the first opponent for Rose's second title.
I just can't believe Mackenzie Dern is number 5. That's ridiculous.
Do you not like that?
I mean, I guess that's because of who she beat, huh?
Yeah.
She beat I guess Nunes now, you can say. Nina Nunes.
Yeah, so that's and she did beat a Nunes.
It's just crazy. I wouldn't mind seeing Dern go against Rodriguez.
I wouldn't see Rodriguez going against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. The only problem there is that Joanna is really only asking for a title fight at this point.
I like Dern and Rodriguez. I think that's another good one because I think they both need another fight before they go up there. If
I would not mind that, Blake. That would be
Esparza got beat. If Esparza beat Rodriguez, I think Dern and Rodriguez is a good matchup because Esparza and Yaozan or whatever. I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Zhang. If they're already matched up, and Young Jacek, I dang near think Weili and Jacek should run it back and see who gets the next title shot.
If Weili and Jacek were to run it back, I don't think you would hear a single complaint from that, or at the very least, you shouldn't complain about that fight because that would be nothing but amazing. But yeah, no, I like that, Blake. I like Rodriguez and Dern. That's good stuff right there. And maybe Michelle Larson can sit down against like a Verna Yonderoba or something like that near the bottom of the position.
I don't know. She needs to get someone where she can, look her get her confidence back again, I guess.
Yeah. Because as of right now, I'm kind of over her,
Mom champ.
And I mean, respect to her. She's a legend in the women's UFC, but it's just kind of going downhill at this point in time.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for our UFC Vegas 26 recap, though. And we've got some headlines we want to talk about before we roll into UFC 262 preview. And then, of course, our Nae Nae of the week. But let's just talk about the MMA gods striking again, Blake, because as we kind of mentioned earlier on the show, we got Shabazian and Hermanson. That has been moved to May 22nd on the card of Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt. So that gets a boost, but of course, 262 loses another fight, unfortunately. But, I guess we're still paying for the classic that 261 really was, huh?
Could be, man. Who knows? I mean, I still have pretty high hopes for this card, though. I mean, Shabazian and Hermanson were a really solid, really solid fight, but it just makes the Cody Garbrandt and Rob Font fight card even better. So at least it's just delayed 1 week, and it's not, like the TJ Corey Sandhagen thing where it's not even got a date yet, or Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards has to be postponed a month,
Yeah. So this is the least bad casualty we've gotten recently, but a casualty nonetheless. But a funny thing I kind of want to talk about is what came out actually on Monday, the 10th, is that, speaking of Weili previously, Jake Weili's coach, Yuyan Kai, says that the booing of the Florida crowd at UFC 261 threw her off her game, and he is blaming that on her loss to Thug Rose. And this has to be one of the worst excuses I've ever heard, because not only does it make your fighter look bad, it's just a weak excuse.
Yeah, I don't know what they were going for on that one. It's just, yeah, not smart in any sense. So,
can we think of a better excuse real quick? I mean, you and me. Let's brainstorm this. Better excuse. Slippery canvas. Slippery canvas. What about that?
Yeah, I mean, you could have done weight cut. You could have done anything outside of the ring.
It's humid in Florida.
Maybe the racist trash talk got to her head. I don't know.
Hey, but I think at the least, man, don't make your fighter look weak by having booing throw her off.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
That's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. And then also, one of the last things before UFC 262, can we talk about Chuck Liddell fighting Jake Paul?
I just think that's such a terrible idea.
Because apparently Chuck Liddell, he's come out and said that he's, quote, ready anytime for a boxing fight it's just a fight with Jake Paul, because
that's just the last thing Chuck Liddell needs to be doing right now. You know, live your life and enjoy your time that you have left with your family. And
left. I mean, you make it sound like he's about to die playing cheese.
Just saying, do it. Why are you trying to get more blows to the head when you were already one of the pioneers of the sport before all the changes in sparring practice, and because that's just now coming around. Like, people are just now starting to say, hey, let's tone it back a little bit. Chuck Liddell went through his whole career doing probably balls to the walls, 110% on everything.
Oh yeah.
And so that's just what I'm saying. I'm not trying to shit on the guy. I'm just saying that dude's been through enough already, and there's no reason in hell he should have to go through a freaking, boxing match with someone that's going to take it super serious like Jake is.
But who wants this? Who wants this fight? If you're out there asking to see Chuck Liddell versus Jake Paul, check yourself, please.
It's just not even interesting at all.
No, it's not interesting. It's not going to be a good fight. Askren is going to be a better opponent. Then Chuck Liddell, the last time we saw Chuck Liddell was like 4 years ago, getting destroyed, or like 3-4 years ago when he got murdered by Tito Ortiz in some really awful fight that should never even happen in the first place.
Yep.
Oh,
he's a shell of his former self, man. It sucks.
It does suck, but at the same time, I understand Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. I understand. I know it's Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather, right? Even though Jake Paul stole his hat and got beat up and got a black eye or something like that. This is so hard to keep up with sometimes. I'll be honest. Everything is happening. But we got that fight going on. We got Kamaru Usman and Jake Paul talking smack with each other on Twitter. Yeah, Kamaru Usman seeing if Jake Paul wants to step into the cage. I mean, this would be stupid. Kamaru Usman would kill him in the boxing match too. Come on. I feel like that's a stupid thing to even talk about. But Chuck Liddell, where does this even come from?
Probably from Chuck, because he's broke,
Oh man, it's so sad to see this. You got Tito Ortiz making a clown of himself down there. I guess was it Huntington Beach? Like, is he like mayor of Huntington Beach or something like that? And then now you have, so apparently a fan asked Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell said, "I'm ready anytime for that clown." No,
I don't even think that's news. Let's move on.
I know it's not news, Blake. I just had to bring it up because of how anything Jake Paul is ridiculous. But if you throw in Jake Paul and Chuck Liddell, I hate this world. I hate this world, and I hate that we're even talking about this. So,
the only time I want to talk about Jake Paul is when his next fight is signed, and it's someone that's like it's
like an actual
reasonable.
Fight.
It's reasonable. I'm not saying he has to fight Canelo. I'm just saying he needs to fight. He needs to fight someone reasonable now. If he wants to keep picking on MMA guys, You need to pick on guys that like can actually throw hands, you
Oh,
know.
Blake, you just keep that up. Let's have him fight Canelo and get his jaw broken. Oh,
Jeez, he would. I mean, you saw what he did to BJS, right?
yeah, he broke his face. He broke his face,
Bad
literally.
man. It's a bad man right there.
Canelo Alvarez is going to be the savior of boxing, I guess. Man, who the hell even knows? But yeah, no. Let's get rolling on into UFC 262. And the best part about any card, of course, is going to be Blake's bangers. So Blake, start us off this week with the fights that we need to watch and the ones that are guaranteed to hit as long as they actually make the card, I guess.
Yeah, as long as no COVID stuff or craziness happens. My first fight that I picked, Lando Venata versus Mike Grundy. Mostly I picked it because Lando Venata, I think he's just a really exciting guy to watch. He throws spinning stuff, really.
Hey, shoot, you had me at spinning stuff, Blake.
Exactly. He's just not shy in terms of his striking. He kind of leaves it all out there, throws everything in the kitchen sink at you. So that should be an interesting fight. I don't know too much about Grundy, but hopefully he's a game guy, and hopefully Venata and him are good dance partners, and we can see a fun fight. Shane Burgos versus Edson Barboza. I think this is just an easy pick. It's going to be, I think, action packed from the very beginning, probably very leg kick heavy from Barboza, and Shane Burgos is going to be trying to spark him. So I think it really comes down to Burgos's hands versus Barboza's kicks. And it's going to be really interesting to see who wins this one. I don't know.
Barboza is always a solid candidate for this, especially because if you throw it back to Lester, his fight with Josh Emmett, and for a lot of people, that was fight of the year. Now, that was a tough one to argue with Jay Check and Wei Lee, but definitely up there. And speaking of Josh Emmett, man, I can't wait till he gets his ass back in the cage. Looks like his rehab's going well with his super destroyed knee. So fingers crossed that we get to see him return to the cage soon, because since we're not going to have a featherweight title shot or a title fight for a while because of Tough, Josh Emmett is the one to kind of bring some excitement to that division in the meantime. But let's get your last Blake's bangers of UFC.
There's our weekly Josh Emmett shout out,
Hey, fan of the show, friend of the show, on the interview. Also, shout out to Team Alpha Male in general. A shout out to you, one of the most underrated boxing coaches in all of MMA, Coach Joey Rodriguez, legend.
All right, last banger is going to be Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush.
Of course, right? What else?
There's nowhere else to really go on this card. It's the Boogeyman versus I'm not really too sure Dariush's name. Just a really nice guy, from what it looks like in UFC Embedded 262.
The Dariush show is what it's
very tough fight for me to pick, man, because I think this one, it kind of depends which Tony Ferguson shows up that night. If it's the Tony of old, I think he has the tools to get it done against anyone, as his 12-fight win streak shows.
Well, Blake, you got to break up into two different eras, I guess, for Tony. You got pre-Gaethje and post-Gaethje.
Well, I don't even think it's really that, man. Yes, the Gaethje fight was bad, but it's like he still showed up bad to the Oliveira fight. I think maybe this is going to be better for him. It's not on Fight Island. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's going to be as close to normal as he's been used to from before. So maybe he gets back into his, routine. He gets back into what he's, it's worked for him. And there's not like I don't know. He made some crazy excuses before the Oliveira fight. So what I'm hoping is that there's just no excuses for him this time, and you can go out there and perform and be, just everything is a level playing field for him in his mind, because then I think he'll have no worries going in there in the cage. And that's what I want to see. I want to see, does this guy still have it? Is he really the guy that everyone thought could beat Khabib back in the day? Or is he kind of on his, downhill kind of turning slope?
But on the other side of that fight, you got Dariush, who's proven to be an absolute stud and one of the most underrated fighters in this extremely stacked lightweight division.
Yep, absolutely. And that's another, it's a monkey wrench that you're kind of throwing in there. It's kind of sucky.
So, I mean, it's hard to predict. You're saying it's hard to predict this fight. Can we get your prediction for this one, Blake?
No, not yet.
Not yet. What do you mean not yet?
Because I'm not going to let you get any type of little hints on what I'm doing. You said I'm doing a main event pick tonight.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not giving you no help on your picks. I'm getting my title back. I'm getting my strap back, boy. I think
Okay.
this is.
Okay. Well, of course, Blake's talking about the reigning, defending,
3 in a row.
undisputed,
3 in a
fourth and
row.
long, suck my pick title holder, Blake. I'm going for my second. I'm going for this.
Win
is my
it 3
second
times in a row.
champion. Okay.
Win it 3 times in a row. You and Jalen can't do that. I'm the only one.
Okay.
Win it
Fair
3
enough.
times in a row.
But hey, you're talking to the inaugural champ, Blake. Put some respect on the name, okay? Won it and then defended it. I didn't. I have not won it and defended it 3 times in a row, though. So Blake, I'm coming for that. This is the first of 3 title defenses to try to get up to your reign. Okay, I'm coming for you.
Trash.
Coming for you. Okay, but like you alluded to, let's roll on into our kind of predictions with the main event and then fight of the night predictions for this card. The first one, main event. And Blake, I'm just going to tell you right now that it is going to be Michael Chandler in his second UFC fight, getting it done in the second round with a KO. He's going to start Charlie Olives because, of course, shout out to Dan Hooker for bringing that into the world because, I mean, I'll never get tired of little Charlie Olives action. Michael Chandler starts for mentioned Dan Hooker. And I mean, look at what we can do. What the way you look at this, what a lot of people are saying is that if Chandler wants to win this fight, he has to keep it standing. If Olives wants to win this fight, he has to get to the ground and use his jiu-jitsu. The way he murdered, Tony Ferguson, the way he moved Tony Ferguson's arm in a way that no arm should ever bend. I still have no idea how Tony didn't tap to that. But at the same time, I think people are underestimating Chandler's ability on the ground in his wrestling. This dude is an All-American. This guy has won titles because of his wrestling. I showed you this footage a while ago. Like I believe a few weeks and maybe a month ago with him, pretty much dominating Kamaru Usman in wrestling at practice. Right. So
I mean, it looked like they were going back and forth for sure.
Yeah, but shoot, ain't a lightweight being able to stand up to Kamaru Usman in wrestling? That's good stuff. So Michael Chandler is great on the ground. I don't really think he needs to, though. He gets it done, and he is going to piss a lot of people off by winning the UFC title in his second fight with the promotion. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually going to one-up you and do round 1.
Oh, okay.
Round 1 KO, Michael Chandler. I just think that we kind of got a little sneak preview to it with Venata and Gillespie.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there's no way. I don't know. I just think, yeah, it's going to come down to the hands, really. I mean, Chandler is just too good on the ground, I think. He's not going to be getting ragdolled like Tony did.
No.
There's just no way. He's a strong, compact dude, I think that's where
he's a big lightweight.
You think size, like in terms of height, matters, but I think it actually doesn't in fighting. It really can actually the smaller guy can actually kind of be favorable in some situations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at that Dan Hooker fight, knocked his ass out round 1.
Right, and he was noticeably shorter than Dan Hooker.
Oh yeah, big time. I think Hooker's like 6 foot. He's like 5'11", 6 foot.
Hooker's a big dude.
So yeah, I think Chandler's got all the tools it takes to beat Oliveira. It's just he's got to be careful and not get caught with anything stupid. Don't get Kelvin Gastelum against Hermanson.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we're going to see we're going to see him pull Charlie Olives pull a piece of the page out of the playbook of Tony Ferguson, the guy he just beat. Maybe him with a little your inaugural and try to pick the ankle.
Never know. Anything could happen. It is what it is, as Max Holloway says.
Yeah,
every other sentence.
Straight up, all Max Holloway is a guy that is a significant record title or record holder, and he just is what it is. So, God bless that man. It's blessed express time, especially on the show. 2 huge fans of the legend Max Holloway. But now let's get our predictions for fight of the night. And There's a couple that really stand out here, but I am going to go with Ferguson and Dariush just because I really don't know what the hell to expect out of this fight. We really could get anything and everything, and especially with a guy like Tony Ferguson that just does weird stuff. I guess that's the best way to describe. He just does weird stuff. Okay, he just does stuff that doesn't make sense.
Throws imaginary sand in the middle of fights.
I
think that's a safe pick. I mean, it just depends on if someone because the way it sounds like is Dariush is going to be coming out. He said he's going to try to out crazy Tony.
I love that, right? I love that. If you try to one up Tony, you really got to do something. I mean, Tony's a guy that gets punched in the face and does a somersault to get away from that. So, I mean, I really don't know what to expect. I'm super excited about this one. But your fight of the night prediction?
Mine is going to be Shane Burgos versus Edson Barboza, and that's just based upon sheer violence. I think they're both going to just go in there and try to kill each other. So, I think that's a pretty safe pick.
Yeah, so I'm going off of craziness. You're going off of violence. And if we get what we are expecting, I really don't think we can lose on this card. Straight up.
There should be at least 3 or 4 really, really good fights on this main card, I think.
Yeah, I feel like people might be brushing off this card, not being as excited for it. Nonetheless, we're still looking at 18,000 people there at Toyota Center there in Houston. So even by sheer crowd noise alone, this is going to be a fantastic card. You can't deny it. And ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap things up, let's get the best segment in all of sports entertainment and UFC. Let's talk about the Nae Nae of the week. And Blake, this week, making an appearance from PFL in their most recent event was a PFL, the third PFL event of 2021. We had a heavyweight matchup between Fabricio Verdum and Renan Ferreira. And we got one where Renan, he seemingly taps from Verdum's was a little I think his arm bar he had in there like a triangle hold. The ref doesn't stop the fight, and then Verdum proceeds to get KO'd. This, although, has been taken to the commission. Verdum did appeal this. It has been overturned to a no contest, which I think is the fair thing to do in this situation. But Blake, most importantly, the biggest question of MMA weekend, did he tap?
I think so, yeah. It looked like he tapped to me. It looked like at least a solid 2-tapper. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to do that in a fight for any reason unless you're trying to cheat and get someone, while the ref is on the other side, maybe not looking. So I didn't like it. I don't think that there's any place for that to even think about trying that in this sport. So, yeah, I think the right decision was made by overturning it and giving it a no contest. I don't think that Verdum should have been given the dub just because, what's happened has already kind of happened, but it just kind of sucks that the referee kind of missed that.
Yeah.
And that Verdum had to take those hits because those hits were freaking gnarly.
Those were heavy. I mean, you can't deny that. It looked weird because it's always hard to call something and tap like when it's almost universal. When you tap like 3 times, then it's apparent. Most of the time when people tap, it's apparent that they're tapping. It wasn't apparent that Renan was tapping here. He tapped twice, but also the 2 taps, it didn't look like he was like a normal MMA move. It looked like a deliberate tap, which was weird, right? This is one of the weird scenarios. This is, a no contest is really the best you can do in this situation, but nonetheless, that is still in my book getting nae-naed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for UFC Talk for this week's edition of it. Let us know what you think. Give us your predictions about UFC 262. Who's going to win this huge main event? Is Charlie Olives going to be able to pull off, I believe, the betting upset? Or is Michael Chandler going to be able to get his hands on the UFC lightweight title, one of the most prestigious belts in all of MMA, in all of combat sports, in just his second fight with the promotion? But Blake, before we sign off, let's talk about Patreon because, of course, If you go to patreon.com/4thalong, like we said at the beginning of the show, you can become a very prestigious member of our patrons. Just $1 a month is all it takes. And shout out to our Patreon supporters, Ray Rodriguez, for all your card collecting needs. Go to @thebigbatbox on Instagram. Shout out to Ryan Watson and Neil Wiley in his YouTube channel, Chosen Problems. Blake, your thoughts on UFC 262 in one word or phrase?
I would say electrifying.
Electrifying. That's exactly what it's going to be with 18,000 screaming fans. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you after that card in what's sure to be an electric event.